That's what we're talking about, and this is a speaker we have been waiting all day to hear from. As entrepreneurs, many of us start with nothing, and our hope and our drive is to create something which has a long-lasting impact. The entrepreneur coming on stage has done just that. Vineeta Singh is the co-founder and CEO of Sugar Cosmetics, a cult favorite beauty brand among Gen Z and millennials. Under her leadership, Sugar Cosmetics has achieved an impressive annualized sales run rate of over 500 crore rupees. That is not a mean feat, ladies and gentlemen, as we know. With a physical presence at over 45,000 retail touchpoints across 550 plus cities and a digital community of 5 million beauty enthusiasts, Sugar Cosmetics exemplifies rapid and sustainable growth. So don't hold back and give it up for Vineeta Singh. Hi, good evening. Thank you so much to the amazing Borzo Connect team for such a warm welcome. And thank you to all of you. I mean, Friday evening, hustling and staying back here to learn rather than out partying like the rest of Bombay right now in BKC, Parel, Nariman Point. If you were to go right now, you know what everybody's doing, right? Drinking, it's Friday night. So I asked the Borzo Connect team that I hope you've not like locked the gates from outside or you're not holding them hostage at gunpoint because who's otherwise going to sit here at 6:40? They said, no. We just had to give some free smartwatches. But smartwatches or not, thank you so much. How many of you are entrepreneurs here? Wow, lots of entrepreneurs. Business owners, self-employed. Great, super. And how many of you watch Shark Tank? Nice, almost the same number. Super. And this is for all the entrepreneurs. How many of you are having a bit of a tough year at the moment? Anybody there? Yeah, raise your hands, let's be honest. Come on, give me some company. I don't think you're alone. You know, I was coming over here and on the radio was playing in the car and I heard a radio ad for Hiranandani Hospital. And I was like, this is the ultimate sign of an economy crisis because I grew up in the AIIMS campus, All India Institute of Medical Sciences in Delhi. And the only place there used to be longer queues than a liquor shop was the AIIMS OPD, because that's the kind of healthcare crisis we have in India. And so hearing a radio ad of hospitals, and you know, I know we talk about the GDP 7-8%, but you know, if you look at like consumption growth this year, it's been about 3%. IITs, IIMs, the two institutes that I went to that used to always have companies queuing up, are now struggling with about 30% lower placements. So I think it is a tough year. And I think I really want to start with by telling you to really pat yourself on your backs, all of you entrepreneurs. Please pat yourself on the back, because you know the most important job of an entrepreneur? What is the most important job of an entrepreneur? Surviving, yeah. It's not sales, marketing, product development, technology. It is staying alive. You know, just living to see another day, another month. I know it's like 21st and 1st of next month. We have to pay salaries. Kahan se aayega salaries every month we have to figure out. But congratulations, you're still alive. And you've survived every single hard day you've had so far in your startup journey. So congratulations. Yeah. And I think it is also, I don't know how many of you are solo founders or, wow, lots of you. I'm luckily not. I have a co-founder who's also my husband. But I can tell you, entrepreneurship is a damn lonely journey. So why don't you also take a minute to pat the back of the one next to you, you know, because I think the ones next to you, apart from sacrificing their Friday evening by giving you company over here, they've also survived a bit of a crazy 2024 so far. And I think I want to start with talking about the adventures of building companies in India and in Bharat. And I want to start with my own journey. So this is me 2007, and it is not that these photos got compressed. They have very high quality televisions at Borso. I just met the team. They are like paranoid about getting everything right. I was walking up the stairs, there was security here, there was somebody giving the clicker there was somebody handing over water there. I was like, they said, do you want security on stage? I said, nahi, mujhe bas like selfie mangte hain log aake, gun nahi dikhate hain, so don't worry about that. But anyways, so yeah, it's not a compressed picture. This is how I looked in 2007. This is me at IIM Ahmedabad campus, and I was, at that point of time, one of the only people in my batch who decided to give up her job offer. I had an investment banking offer, and I started up. And my parents would have thought that being on a magazine cover would make me very famous, because people would say that, hey, you know what, Professor Singh's daughter, she was on the magazine cover, but actually in the entire AIMS campus, everybody said, Professor Singh's daughter, don't be like her. She got a job offer from an investment bank, and she didn't take it. And then it looks like, oh my God, well, few years later, this is her overnight success. Well, actually, this journey took 17 years and counting. I still feel I'm a long way away from where I want to be, because it was full of these moments. This is actually a real picture. My evil co-founder, who's my husband, and I can call him evil, took this picture after one of the 100+ venture capitalist rejections that I had. And there are town halls that we have where we share some of those screenshots of the rejection emails we get. I mean, I really want, in some secret life, want to become a venture capitalist, because when I'm on television rejecting somebody, I know I'll get trolled on Twitter, so I have to be nice. But venture capitalists behind closed doors, and sometimes write these really honest, sometimes they're right as well, emails. And I have emails starting from, I think you should go back and take a job. What you're building is not going to work. 2, we don't invest in husband-wife teams. So this is definitely not happening. Woman CEO. हमने एक बार एक woman CEO company में invest किया था, वो company तब बंद हो गई थी, so that's why we're not investing in any women CEOs. And this was one of those times where, there's this investment committee round, after which you're almost certain to get the check, because it's like a check in the box. But after an investment committee round, they said something which I also say a lot, because we're building in Bharat, and I'm going to talk about it. Market size chota hai. Right? So out of those hundreds of rejections, we somehow survived and believed, apna time aayega. And I would really like to believe that this, finally, the unlocking that happened in the last 3-4 years of my entrepreneurial journey after failing 2 startups. So I had started with a women's lingerie brand back in 2007, which could not go off the ground because, well, we couldn't raise capital, and then pivoted and tried to start an education company at that time, EduTech. Ran that for about 4 to 5 years. 2012, that didn't shut down, but my co-founder and I had differences, and I had to move out of it, and I started thinking what to build. And Kaushik and I started this subscription box business for beauty, which within 3 years wasn't scaling up, and we were literally had our backs against the wall. And the last few lakhs left, had to let half our team go, and went through the most traumatic stage of a startup's journey, which is a pivot. And from that, Sugar happened. And in the first 2-3 years of Sugar, all that venture capitalists told us was, the market size is too small, over and over again. And I would love to think that it was something about my own perseverance, resilience, that made this transition and the sudden explosive growth that the company finally got after 3 failed businesses and a lot of sluggish years where, as you can see on a 0 to 700 scale, the revenue is almost zero. But actually, the people I give credit for the explosion and the compounding that happened is not us. I mean, of course, we were hanging in there, waiting for the right opportunity, just building, serving consumers. But the real credit for that journey, if I'm very honest, guess who that goes to? Being very honest, it would be Jio, Mr. Ambani, because suddenly every Indian had a smartphone and they could shop a lipstick online. And there's a Mr. Zuckerberg who invested in Instagram, and suddenly hundreds of millions of Indian women were on Instagram looking at products on social media. And of course, Larry and Sergey bought YouTube, and YouTube is the most addictive thing in India apart from liquor. So I guess the credit for this whole explosion never really belonged to me, because after so many years of just getting rejection one after the other and not seeing any growth, we started seeing magic happen. And we were suddenly at this right place, right time, where we had started a brand with the sole purpose that, there are these women who were our consumers on Fatbag, which was our subscription box. They just kept saying that I'm not getting makeup which is long-lasting enough, that, works, is waterproof for the weather conditions in India, and, young working women are so different from their moms. And we thought, yaar, paise to bache nahi hai, koi invest karega nahi is category mein, so might as well sell a few products, make some money, just survive doing something fun. And honestly, I don't think there's anything more fun than selling to women. Because, I tried selling a product to men one point of time. It was a Fatbag men. And men are like this black hole, they discover something good, they'll be super secretive about it. Women discover something good, they send us pictures from hospital. I went to labor, and my lipstick was on throughout my entire labor of 8 hours, and I love it. I shared it with all my friends, and they're putting up pictures on YouTube and Instagram. And suddenly nobody believed that on social media, Indian women would be out there flaunting the favorite lipstick that they discovered and sharing it with their friends. And what really happened is that on our Instagram and YouTube, where we now have 2.9 million followers on Instagram, YouTube, we have about 1.86 million followers. On these, women were looking at honest recommendations of products, and from brands being absolutely inaccessible because you had to spend so much on television to get your product visible to people, and you had to pay so much to distributors and retailers to make sure that they keep your product on shelf when you go visit the store, and the moment you go out, they put it back inside. From that, you suddenly had the ability to really democratize everything. So you make a great product, and there were thousands of women on Amazon who could see the reviews, and 19,000 pin codes. I could sit here at Mumbai with one warehouse in Bhiwandi and service in 2 days, to maybe 6-7 days if it's just one warehouse, but Amazon is able to service even Shillong within 2 days because they have warehouses everywhere. But this opportunity of a lifetime happened not really because of something that Kaushik and I created, but because we survived and decided to live another day. In those times where we had 100+ rejections, and it was very clearly told to us that, yaar, market size बहुत छोटा है. We said, ठीक है, छोटा ही सही, अच्छा market है. Consumers are very loving. They share very generously, and this category has good margins. It's going to grow because the one direction in which India is growing is the explosion of consumption. Yes, there is There are some people who are not from India here. Mike, I don't know if he's here. I don't know any country in the world that's seen numbers like this. In India, internet users in the last 7-8 years of us building Sugar went from some 35 crore to 85 crore. As on date, there are about 90 crore people in India who have internet access. Number of women shopping, when we started Sugar, there were only 15% women who were shopping online. And today there are 46% online shoppers are women. And just, I know the numbers of participation on labor force of women is still very, very low, but look at how far we've come. Look at the number of women in this audience. Big hand of applause to all of you, because, and that's what we were seeing, that yes, venture capitalists, they look at market research reports and they say, this market is very small, and that's true about most businesses that serve women. But when you look at the women around you, you realize that there is this fire, power of ambition, aspiration, equality inside them, which is making them go out there and not settle for products that aren't great for them. And which is why there was an opportunity of brands to emerge and ride on this wave. So yes, we, apna time aaya, and like in any other, every entrepreneur's journey, every few years, there'll be this crazy situation. So while you come to a place where, you go through a big high, there's also a phase where you come to zero. For us, that was April 2020. So we had just crossed 100 crore in net revenue, mega celebration, everybody's like, 3x plan, etc., etc. And April 2020 happens, and we're back to zero. And we used to joke that someday our revenue is going to be equal to the market leaders. We're still third highest selling color cosmetics brand in India, and our eyes have been on number 1. And we're like, someday we'll get to number 1. Actually, our revenue April 2020 equal ho gaya, because they were also zero. Everybody was selling no makeup back then. And that's when we started like really hustling and figuring stuff out. How do we survive? And in that survival process, we did some things like, make sanitizers and start selling them, because there was nothing else people were buying. And even after like 4 years from 2020, I'm still collecting expired sanitizers from the market, because we really forgot one very important fundamental of brand building that got us here, and which is very important to keep us where we are. And I want to talk about that through my favorite, of course, Shah Rukh. I don't know how many of you are millennials or older who know this movie. Who do you know this movie? Yeah, okay. At least the women do, of course, Shah Rukh. So in this movie, there was this chain, and in our times, it wasn't uncool to wear a chain that says cool. And we were the first generation that was seeking cool stuff. And I learned the very hard way from my Gen Z colleagues, because half of Sugar is now Gen Z. And if you haven't noticed yet, 58% of India is Gen Z or younger. So all of our customers and employees are very soon going to be a lot of Gen Zs. So unlike millennials who had one word for cool, Gen Zs have like a lot of words. So this is actually our lipstick range, which is for younger women. It's called Sugar Play. And there are all of these words: dope, woke, leng, bussing, savage. They all mean one thing. You know what that is? Cool. Right. So why am I talking about what's cool? The reason I'm talking about what's cool is that when you're building a consumer business in India, in Bharat, the consumer changes every few years, because there is so much diversity here. There is so much opportunity to build something for the set of consumer that you can relate to. And what we started off was trying to build great products for young working women. And when we moved off that when we got distracted, and every single time that we tried things that did not make sense for that consumer who was our North Star and we got lost, it probably did not show up in the next quarter's numbers, but in the long run, it showed up for us. And so I just want to remind you, because Gen Z is everywhere, that there's one thing common between these two that Gen Z cares a lot about, and that all of our customers very soon will care a lot about. And what is that? What's common between these two? Bolo, bolo. Agar Friday night party karne jana hai, jaldi bolo. Jor se. Okay, I'll give you the answer because I think I'm getting the right answer, but I'm not 100% sure. It's authenticity, right? The only reason why this generation loves Taylor Swift and Diljit is that this generation is going up in the social media era where it is so easy to be fake. We are all faking it all the time by showing the two glossiest moments of our day, minutes of our day at max, and hiding the rest. And the only thing that this generation now cares about, and that the only thing that brands need to remember while trying to build a business in India, is to be authentic to why they started and who they started for. And we started as a brand to serve young working women and be the most inclusive brand. As somebody who grew up with a skin tone in Delhi that was among the deepest 20%, I can tell you that the only thing that you get told over and over again is how to become fairer, how to become whiter, how to use makeup to get overnight 3 shades lighter. And that you're told in stores, that you're told at home. And all of us who grew up in Delhi with this skin tone would sometimes secretly go and shop fairness creams, hoping, but it doesn't happen. It doesn't work that way. And what women like me needed, women like me to create, were products that were born for every Indian skin tone, because we are the most diverse set of women probably in the world, with skin tones going from really, really light to really deep, but all of them are beautiful. So I think the first thing I want to leave you with is, whatever you're doing, any business that you're in, find the courage to be authentic. Because in this fake world that social media seems to be promoting, consumers have a way of differentiating between the authentic and the inauthentic. And they know it. And that's why Taylor and Diljit stand out from all the other celebrities. The other thing I want to leave you with, so this is a picture from our warehouse, and we are very blessed. We have more than 3,000 women who work at Sugar, including in our warehouses, in our retail stores. Thank you. And I did not have a lot to do with that, apart from just giving an equal opportunity to women and creating more role models in the leadership team. But I realized that in India, everything takes longer than you plan, right? So every time I've put a business plan on the map saying that, this is the journey. And this entire experience of mine started when I was a child. So, growing up in the Ames campus, my father is a scientist. And he works on these things called protein structures, which are used to create cancer drugs. So my father used to leave home in the middle of the night to go to his lab to discover more protein structures, because and I would ask him that, why do you work so hard? Because I was, really impatient. I've always been impatient. I became an entrepreneur because I wanted to, I have a lot of energy and a lot of impatience to change everything very fast. And I would tell him that, this doesn't seem to be making you any money. Why are you spending so many nights in your lab and, putting in all this effort? He used to tell me, and this was when I was a kid, that I do this because, India is right now very low in the ranking of the countries that have protein structures discovered in the world. And I am trying to get us to number 1. And I was like, okay, so who's number 1 right now? And he's like, this Nobel laureate in Germany. And how many protein structures do they have? 620. And I was like, okay, who's the next one? So-and-so in the US, again, Nobel laureate, 600 plus. And I was like, how many do you have? And he'd be like, I have 240. And how many are you doing every year? He said, about 15 to 20. So I would do the math with him, and I was like, it's just not adding up. You know, the number of decades it will take you to get to the top of the list. It doesn't make any sense to give, like, spend nights doing this. And he'd say, I just love doing it. And, it's the journey is the destination. And I remember during COVID, again, 2020 in October, my father turned 70. And I called him up and I was like, listen, we're going to have a party because you're turning 70. And he said, yeah, but can you wait 3-4 months? Let's throw the party in Jan. So I was like, abhi Jan mein kya hai? So he said, Jan mein I'm finally hitting 624 protein structures because the other people on the list haven't been adding, and I kept adding over the last 4 decades. And when I heard my dad's story, I was like, I used to think as a kid that I want to be an entrepreneur because I want to get rich fast. But the thing about entrepreneurship is, it is by far the slowest way to get rich. But you just never quit because the journey is so incredible. And if you find something that you feel passionate about, that you enjoy doing, then you don't know when you're suddenly building and the tailwinds come and sweep you with them like it happened with us. And then the wealth comes in. And for us, I think, my biggest learning was that I tried to not be like my dad, the opposite of a scientist, which is an entrepreneur. But I realized that both of us have that same irrational passion that get us to keep doing it even when the money is not coming in. So for all of you who are not seeing any real money so far, I have some bad news. It's not coming anytime soon. It does take decades. India is a complex market with a lot of competition at all points of time. There is no product market fit because you get to product market fit and the consumer changes, so you have to rediscover product market fit every 3 years. But if you find something of meaning, it just, the joy of building is worth it. And for me, that meaning was found through the people I was building this with, which were all these incredible women and our consumers. And I feel that, when you just love it, you're ready to give decades to it without feeling the impatience. Because when I asked my dad, ab to aap number 1 ho gaye on that list, what do you want to do now? He says, at the age of 70, that I feel I have some more decades and a few hundred more protein structures because I love doing this so much, I want to keep doing it till my last day. And yeah, this year he's turning 75, and guess where he is 7 days of a week? In his lab. So lastly, I just want to remind you that I think if you're building a consumer business, it's very easy to think about marketing and television, and now the new marketing is performance marketing, spending on ads. But a lot of times, it's the small things that matter. And this is yesterday. So yesterday, somebody tagged me on Instagram, and they just posted something which was some experiment happening in some corner of the company where we were trying hyper-local delivery. If you order some SKUs from our website, we're going to deliver them within an hour. It was a pilot. Somebody noticed it, and they wrote that. Now, the hundreds of small things that we try, like the way we name our products, right? Like every single name of a sugar product has a lot of thinking hours, and most consumers don't care. But the ones they do, for them, this is brand building. So brand building is not television ads. Brand building is the small stuff. And the hundreds of things that take love and patience and time and not really money is the brand building that we did at Sugar that got us where we are. Because it is very easy if you're spending money to acquire customers, it's very easy for somebody to spend more because at any point of time, somebody will be able to raise more money than you do. The only way to stay ahead is do things that others are not ready to do, which is, really sweating the small stuff. So I just want to leave you with that. saying that, like, a lot of people ask me, brand kaise banana hai? Because, ever since I started doing Shark Tank investments, 90% of my investments are actually in consumer businesses. Almost 80% are brands. And the thing about brand building is that it's very complex. All of us really have to go through our own journey, just like entrepreneurship. But it's important in those moments when we are lost like that, somewhere stuck, to remember that your North Star is your consumer. To remember where your consumer wants you to go, listening more than speaking. Because even on social media, where we're always trying to just put out our message, our brand communication on Instagram, YouTube, videos, high production, thinking logo, yahan se wahan, spending hours just getting that right. I think what we're not doing is listening, because there's just so much to learn on social media as well about our consumers. And finally, I think, I always say that not just in entrepreneurship, but the most important thing to succeed in life is resilience. But you know what's even more important than resilience? It's where you were born. And congratulations to all of you. All of us are very, very lucky to be born and to be building in India at this point of time. Because there's no other country in the world where you're going to keep seeing a dramatic explosion of aspiration, consumption, education, and the impact of just having this population and so many. I mean, when you go to, YouTube, just look at the number of ambitious young people out there just trying to take themselves to the next level. Someday they're all going to be consuming and contributing to this economy. So we're one of the only countries that is actually going to see 120 crore people online, shopping online in the next few years. One of the only countries which at a very large base of GDP of more than $3 trillion are going to see the GDP double from here. And there are going to be tough years, like this year. It hasn't started on a very good note for a lot of companies, but be patient, hang in there. You're very lucky to have the opportunity of a lifetime to be in one of the only countries in the world which at such a large base is going to continue growing so fast. So just reminding you in the end, apna time aayega. Thank you. I love the whistling.
Thank you very
so
much, Vineeta. I'm sure there are lots of questions in the audience, और मैं millennial की तरह बोलने वाली हूँ. आप बहुत cool हो.
Thank you.
Super cool. और
बस किसी तरह मेरे बच्चों से खिलवा दो. They don't think I'm cool at all.
Well, that's a task we may not be able to deliver on, but एक चीज़ I think आपने आते ही सबसे कहा it's a tough year and pat each other on the back. What I found so interesting is you are so humble. आपने 450-500 करोड़ की रेवेन्यू करने वाली कंपनी खड़ी करी है कौशिक के साथ, and so humble she gave all the credit to Mr. Zuckerberg and Mr. Ambani. I think just for that we should have a massive round of applause for Vineeta.
Thank you. Thank you.
और एंकर होने का पूरा फायदा उठाते हुए पहला सवाल मैं पूछूंगी. Vineeta, आपने जब शुरुआत की आपने बताया कि it's been a tough year, right?
Yeah.
It's been a tough year. 3 failed आपके startups रहे हैं, and to get here, हम लोगों में काफी लोग हैं जो wannabe entrepreneurs हैं, बन रहे हैं entrepreneurs धीरे-धीरे. Self doubt एक ऐसी चीज है जो बार-बार हमें खाता है.
Yeah.
So at times when you have felt at your lowest, say when the first one failed, what kept you going?
Yeah. So this will be a long answer if you don't mind.
Go for it.
So in 2012-13, after I had tried 2 startups and they hadn't failed, I think 5-6 साल हो गए थे in my entrepreneurial journey. And I was from an institute where all my friends, all my batchmates had already bought their first house and had these, fancy vacations and cars. So that feeling of contrast in, both self-worth and net worth it was just so stark. And it was so stark that it was difficult to even show up for these social events. Like, I wouldn't go meet any of my friends because A, they would always choose expensive places in Bombay. And B, it just reminded me of my own failing because I thought that I was one of the brightest in college. And that's when I started thinking that when I started on my entrepreneurial journey, all the books I read were like Steve Jobs and Larry Ellison and Howard Schultz. And then I started thinking that, they have a certain personality, these alpha men who were geniuses.
Yeah.
And then my first doubt was maybe I don't deserve to be an entrepreneur because I am not an alpha man or genius. And there weren't any books by women at that time. And I thought that maybe, my style, which as you said, humility, transparency, that doesn't work for entrepreneurs. And entrepreneurs come in certain shapes and sizes. Mine is not one of them. And I really at that point thought that, okay, if I take up a job, kaisi job milegi? But then I have been a marathoner for a while, and I picked it up during my entire, the most stressful parts when I was failing. And the thing about marathons, and I've done a lot of them, including like this 90-kilometer race where you can't even think when the end will come, and you have a 12-hour cutoff. So you spend 12 hours on the road in South Africa running. And I just, thought of when you're in that journey, there are two things. One is that you can't think about the end and get overwhelmed because it's so scary, 90 kilometers. So you just tell yourself, can I reach the next light pole? I am not going to give up till I reach the next light pole. And that's all I'm doing because that light pole I can see. I can't see 89 kilometers, but I can see the light pole. At that light pole, I'll get myself to go to the next one.
Yeah.
And similarly, in my entrepreneurial journey, I somehow told myself that, we will probably are close to giving up, but can I hang in there one more day and show up? And then, or one more day. And somehow when you show up in the morning for your consumer, over years now, magic starts happening. And I think entrepreneurs need to have this ability, like marathoners, to think about the end, be inspired by it, but stay focused on just the next light pole on every day.
Yeah.
And for me, I think that's what kept me going. I just told myself that, I'm going to give this 6 more months, 6 more months, 6 more months, because I'm enjoying it and I still have some money left. And then there was a point when I had to borrow money from my mom. And even to put an aquaguard in my house, I had to take money from my mom. And that was the ultimate low. But I think in that time, I was still like, okay, can I do it for another 3 months? And then you start seeing something turn. And when the tailwinds come and when, everything explodes, then the growth happens exponentially. So I think I will just tell everybody that, in those moments of self-doubt, remember, anybody can be an entrepreneur. And on Shark Tank, I think we've seen smallest of cities made the ideas that people come up with, all age groups, all genders, anybody can be an entrepreneur. And secondly, just ask yourself, ठीक है, 1000 crore नहीं, but 1 महीना और कर सकते हो क्या? And something will turn and you'll be able to figure out a way out.
That's fantastic. Just keep putting one foot ahead of the next. Absolutely fantastic. And very vigorous shake of the hand over there. So we'll take the first question from the gentleman in the black blazer.
Hello, Shak.
Hi.
I'm Atharva. I'm a 17-year-old entrepreneur.
Wow.
And
see, I just said it. All age groups.
Absolutely.
I recently turned 17.
Pitch
so
mat karna bas.
Yeah, I'm not going to pitch. I just want a feedback on my startup.
So you're a dropout?
No, I'm in 12th standard studying at Sydenham College.
So you're studying and an entrepreneur? Wow.
Yeah,
Amazing.
and I currently have a team of 20 people.
Wow. Amazing. तो Shark Tank में कब आ रहे हो?
जब मौका मिल जाए.
Keep trying.
So currently we are at our MVP stage. So I'm building a hyper-local marketplace, which is going to give chances to local businesses. We will bring them online for free, to be able to compete with quick commerce applications.
Amazing.
And I just wanted your input,
This is not
your
a
feedback.
fundraising pitch, na?
No, it's not. It's a feedback.
India
It's for
is
a
amazing.
feedback.
Every question can also be a pitch. I
true.
love it. Yeah, go for it.
So I wanted your feedback on this idea. I remember a startup called Keto Life came to Shark Tank.
Keto Life. I
yeah.
wasn't there on that panel, but yeah. Protein something, na?
No, it was for ONDC. Their pitch was
Oh.
for ONDC. So maybe I remember you were there too.
Okay.
But they had pitch and none of
Oh,
you had.
Kiko. Yeah,
invested.
Kiko. I heard Keto.
Yeah.
Kiko. Yeah, I know Kiko. Yeah. So is it something like Kiko?
Kiko is trying to solve ONDC, but the main thing is that they have made business out of something which I had started thinking from 3 years ago. So I'm much advanced to their idea. So I've been trying to figure out logistics and how can I make the trust with local businesses as I'm going to make them go online. So what's your feedback for a founder like me who is going to help and revolutionize this space?
Got it. I didn't catch your name.
Atharva Gupta.
Athar. Okay. So Athar, firstly, India may, like even small business owners, the ones I've interacted with, are now very e-commerce savvy, very tech savvy, right? So they, if, just because there's something for free, they're not going to come onto your platform. But if you get them the kind of numbers that quick commerce is getting, like quick commerce is growing 30% quarter on quarter because all of us kept saying, "Arey, kya zarurat hai 20 minute ki, kya zarurat hai?" Till we realized that 50% of our shopping is happening with 20 minutes planning, and I think we're creating a generation of people who don't believe in any planning, thanks to quick commerce, but it's happening, it's addictive, right? So my feedback to you will only be that because it's free, nobody's going to come. Because they don't know how to do e-commerce or how to do tech or how to get on a marketplace, they won't come because now they're very smart. If they are not, they have their next generation who's helping them and a lot of avenues. But if you get any business customers, they will come. So whatever you're trying, try to spend as little as possible to do a pilot to see if in some small microcosm pilot, you're able to get consumers who get unreal value here and prove that pilot to these stores. Because I don't know, you're going to be competing with quick commerce and they have billions of dollars that they're investing in this. And now they're going to continue to do that because e-commerce is not growing year on year at the rate that quick com is. And all of this market is going from e-commerce as well as modern trade, as well as GT to quick commerce. So they are going to keep getting larger and larger and very powerful. So the only way to break into that is by demonstrating that you can get consumers. What is the reason for consumers to come to you? Think of solving that. Don't start with solving just for the business person because business people are very smart now and they are also watching YouTube pe kaise tech savvy hona hai. Right? So, and at the end of the day, in a business like this, the only thing that works is a pilot.
Thank you for answering
Yeah,
that. I think there's a
thank you.
lady right over here
Yeah.
in the black and white. Can we take that question, please?
I think I'll go there. It's easier. Yeah.
Hi, Vineeta.
Hi.
Yeah. So my question was, when in 2017 and 18, when sugar started growing 2x, 3x, 4x, like you might have faced a problem where you have to delegate and you have to overcome challenges about suddenly the orders increasing and everything. What is the best way like to cope up when you think things are falling apart?
Yeah. So firstly, very good problem to have. And what I tell myself every day is never complain about that problem. Because that problem of too much business is what you're going to be missing, when things slow down. But that's a very good problem to have. I think the answer to this was like, when we start and when we're a smaller team, when I was in 2017, we had an office with like maybe 25 people, very small team. They were all these incredibly ambitious hustlers, multitaskers. Ops bhi kar rahe hain, customer care bhi kar rahe hain, product bhi bana rahe hain, all of that, right? Now, that is the best team to have in your probably 0 to almost, I would say, 50 crore journey, because they really are like other entrepreneurs who are compounding your effort and your resources. But at some point, and I've always made that mistake of realizing that a bit too late, some point, and for some functions, you need talent that actually knows much more than you. So for us, we did this too late, like getting a great quality CFO, a good quality CTO, some specialized things like retail. Offline is really hard. So getting somebody who can come in and tell you how to do general trade, modern trade, so those people, you have to know at what time and what are the most critical functions where you get people smarter than you. But I think if you are struggling where you're like, itna delegate karna pada hai every day, like, I have a 6-year-old and a 9-year-old. And when I'm at home, it's like in every 10 minutes, at least 150 times from some room they'll be like, mama, something, okay? Because if I'm at home, every 10 seconds I'm going to hear mama, and it'll be like something very like trivial. And every time I'm like, oh, okay, I'm in the middle of this, I have to go there, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to miss this in 3 years, so let me not complain about this. But similarly, if you are in that situation where you're constantly firefighting, delegating, then start with thinking, am I the smartest person in the room? Then I need 2 more people smarter than me. So start with the one function where you need somebody smarter than you, who you can learn from. And then they will solve some of that firefighting. Then go to the next function, get somebody smarter than you. But an entrepreneur, beyond that 30, 40 crore stage, or maybe even earlier if you can afford it, can never be the smartest person in the room. Because it is really, at the end of the day, the only thing that can keep you going over decades is culture, which comes from good people, people who can learn fast, people who can teach you how to do stuff. And I made the mistake of always doing that too late, because I loved, being the boss, just like solving everything khud se solve karo, like the whole keeda of an entrepreneur, as opposed to having faith that somebody else is going to do it, 80% as well as me, but it's still okay because I'm compounding. So don't make that mistake. Get a team and start with the functions where you are firefighting the most, and get definitely somebody who's better than you and smarter than you that you can learn from.
Fantastic. I think we'll take 2 quick questions. Please keep them short. Can we get the mic here, please?
Sorry, I think they are keeping the question short. I'm the one who you need to keep it short.
But they're
I'm
all
going
here
to try keeping it short.
They're all here to
Hi,
listen to you.
Vineeta.
So.
Yeah.
I am Aishwarya.
Hi, Aishwarya.
So I had a question that you said that you have like invested in like 90% of the consumer brands, right? I want to know which of the categories are working really good for you.
Got it. Yeah, when I say, by the way, 90% consumer brands, a lot of people ask me, Shark Tank mein exit aa gaya? I'm like, this is India, boss. 3 साल हुए हैं, decades लगती है, अपना time आएगा. So anyways, I think the categories which are really still continuing to grow very, very fast is all of that whole stuff happening in food and health. Because, I mean, literally like 3 years ago, I thought, ab to saturate ho gaya, itne sare hain. And I know Wicked Good came in the morning, who also was on Shark Tank. But I was like, this is it, right? You can't have any more brands saying that they are the healthier option or the less harmful food option. But in the last 6 months, I don't know if you're watching the news, but this whole blogger coming and upsetting the entire food industry, and brands being forced to put their ingredients right on top.
Correct. We all know about that.
It's changing, right? So I think health and food are the 2 categories where brands will, and health I count everything from clothes to fitness equipment to food, and then in food I count everything, tasty stuff.
I have
and
a
healthy
follow-up question to you. How you think about sexual wellness as an industry for women?
Yeah, I think it is going to grow for sure. I am always see the power of social media is the compounding. Right? It is that, you have a great product and it just goes viral.
Correct.
And suddenly there are people who are spending crores on television. You are sitting in your office with like a 10 people team, you made something go viral, and your marketing has reached more people than the 10 crore spender, right? That's the power of social media. Now, the challenge with sexual wellness as a category is that the social media unlock is still about 5-7 years away, because people are still not talking about it on social media openly. It is changing, but in very, very evolved, educated circles. So I think it is a market where consumption will happen very fast. It's going to grow in the next 2 decades. But the social media unlock we're away from, so you'll have to spend on education. So if I'm building a sexual wellness business, I better raise 50 crore or, to make sure I have
Now
enough money.
that's like a validation for me, because I have a brand called like Sassiest Guys. Please like look into it.
Guys
And
to girls,
girls also, I mean everybody.
Okay.
It's a sexual wellness brand,
Oh,
and
for both
for
men
like
and
women
women.
in LGBTQI.
Nice.
Yeah, so I wanted to talk to you about this. What do you think about this like industry as such, so that this gives like a validation to me? So thank you
of
for
course.
that. Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you for your
Good
question,
luck.
Aishwarya.
Lots of power to you.
एक सवाल उस कोने से, because we haven't gone that side. So there's a gentleman there in the white shirt, and I think he was.
Yes, please. Yes, आप ही. You're the chosen one. अच्छा माइक चाहिए. जोर से बोल लो.
Hello.
Hi.
Ma'am. So, like I have the jewelry business. So
Oh,
where
nice.
I rent it. So I want to know that I started with the initial capital, and I find the product market fit. But after that, to grow, like there are two options. Like if I want to grow, I have to get the capital. And if I won't get the capital now, so what will happen? The growth will be delayed. So can you give the idea, like how many number of people we should approach for getting the funding? Like what I heard is like minimum if you apply to 100 people, one will respond. So
So what's your name?
Nakul Rajpura.
Nakul. So Nakul, brand का मतलब क्या होता है? Trust, right? Now any brand को somebody to trust that, if I spend money, I will not go wrong. It takes a while. So a business like mine, cosmetics, will take 10 years for a brand to get built, because trust takes time. Now, you don't trust somebody, you will not going to marry somebody you see on the road at next day, right? Because trust needs to get established. You won't even hire somebody overnight, right? Now, jewelry mein, you take that same thing of trust and time, it'll be 2x of a category like cosmetics, because jewelry, you need that much more trust. So I know there are a lot of brands on the internet, customer acquisition cost mein paise dal ke they are growing. But my simple suggestion to you is, don't think of this math, right? Do build your business patiently. Just if you are at a stage which is, sub 3-4 crores a month, don't spend more than 10-12% of your net revenue on this thing called performance marketing. Baki, whatever marketing you want to do by making the box better, experience better, customer service, returns, wo karo. But don't spend more than 10-12% on performance marketing, because that you cannot, there is a like doha which I don't remember, but it's about कि जब ऋतु आना है ना तभी आती है. आप रोज पानी डालोगे तो जल्दी फल नहीं आ जाएगा. You have to be patient for the fruit. So performance marketing is like that. और पानी डालो और जल्दी हो जाएगा. ऐसे नहीं होता है. जब आना है फल तब आएगा. And that's like a jewelry brand. You have to be patient. Do right by your consumer. Spend a little, 10%, but not more than that. If you get opportunity to raise, then raise it. But don't make a business around कि raise कौन से business में हो रहा है. Because people are now thinking that अरे lab grown diamond में investment आ रही है मैं वो कर लेता हूँ. That's not the way to build it, because you're neither sure कि आपका raise हो पाएगा, and you're not sure कि raise करके जो मैं capital डालूंगा उसका return आएगा. So my simple suggestion is, jewelry is a category that needs patience. Be patient. Do things which are right by your consumer. Be in it for 20 years. Because, I know 20 years lagta hai, but trust me, like when I was 23, I used to be like, 2 saal, But like suddenly things like these, As long as you enjoy doing, if you're hating what you're doing, then do something else. But if you're enjoying doing, क्या है 10 साल निकल जाते हैं. But customers need trust. You can't force people to trust you overnight. It doesn't happen. Those are short term. Don't discount too much. Don't spend on performance marketing. Performance marketing, I can guarantee you from experience of seeing hundreds of companies and more than 40 investments of my own, that the moment you think कि अब मेरा ROI बैठ गया है, next month CAC बढ़ जाएगा. Guarantee है. So it's like one of those things where you have to keep figuring it out every month. Rather than that, figure something else out.
Thank you.
Thank you. I
See
know.
you in 20 years.
I am so
He's so
sorry,
scared.
guys.
हाँ.
बहुत मिनटों वाली ऐसी pleading looks आ रही है, but I'm so sorry we can't take any more questions. We'll have to wrap it up here. Vineeta, please join me on the stage as I invite Mike and Eugene to present Vineeta with a token of our appreciation for that engaging presentation, for taking on the questions. Please